Before you know it, the life that you wanted to live, the person you wanted to be is totally different now. You don't talk the same. You don't look the same. You don't act the same. And God tonight is wanting our attention. He's saying, Jonathan, there are things that don't match. He's saying, Johnny, there are things that don't match. There are things that do not look right. There are things that aren't going together right. I need you to speak tonight of influence. I need you to understand that tonight could be the final evening for a young man or a young lady. And what is the words that you're going to speak? And let me tell you like this. We are in the world, but not of the world. And you've heard that. But maybe you quite don't kind of get it. Somebody gave the perfect analogy like this. They said, we are in a ship. We are in a boat. And we are in the water. But the water is not in the boat. We are in a ship on the water. We are in the world, but we are not of the world. We are on a ship on the water, but the water does not belong in the boat. Some of us tonight, there's so much water in our boat. Some of us tonight, we're not only on it, but it's in us. And I speak by experience. When you rub shoulders with people, you work with them every day. Every day you hear their language. You know the way they think. You know when you ask a question, what's going to come out of your mouth. If you're not careful, all of these things start coming to mind. They're not even your thoughts, but because you've heard it, it comes to mind. It comes to mind. And Romans 12:2 will help you with that if you can put it up there. All these things come up. All these things, it's not even your thoughts, Evan. It's not even the way you are. It's not even the person you are. That's why it says, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed. We were just talking about that. By the renewing of your mind. Somebody say your mind. That ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God tonight. And I'm not going to be much longer. But in order for us to match, Jeanette, in order for us to look the part, be the part, and speak the part, it's going to take not only transformation, but a renewing of our mind. Some of you hear things at home. You hear things at school. You hear things at work. You're putting things in your ears with your iPod, YouTube, everything and everywhere. You have access to everything. We all know that. We can all agree that. And I cannot stand here and tell you that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. I can't do that. You know what is right. You know what is wrong. You have access. Anywhere and everywhere you go, you can get whatever you want to get. Nobody can stop it. But if you don't renew your mind, and if you don't allow a transformation to take place, you're going to live a life that doesn't match. You're going to live a life that doesn't match. And you're going to find yourself conformed to the world. You're going to find yourself thinking and acting like them. And this is something that God is speaking to us. If you can jump back to 2 Corinthians chapter number 6. It said, touch not the unclean thing. Get away from the things that are unrighteous, those things that have no business in your life, those things that should not be there, those things. What business, let me ask you, what business does light have with darkness? What business does good have with bad? What good is the right hanging out with the wrong? It is always going to be the wrong and the negative influence in the positive. It will always be that way. It will always be that way. It can't be one-on-one and then, I'm stronger than this. I'm better than this. Sooner or later, you're going to find yourself thinking and acting. You live a life that doesn't match. And I'm coming to a close. Stay with me tonight. Communion had a light with darkness. Next verse, number 16, please. What agreement hath the temple of God with idols? For ye are the temple of the living God, and God hath said, I will dwell in them. Tonight, what is important that we understand is something I want you to say. Who you are, say it with me, who you are is where God dwells. And this is something that should not be taken lightly, but if God is holy, Angelica, if God is righteous, if God is perfect, and in me is where He dwells, then I think it should be protected. If where He dwells is in me, Matthew, then I think it should be respected. If this is where God's going to live, if this is God's crib, if you will, I think it should be clean. I think it should be righteous. I don't have any business filling it with my lustful thoughts. I don't have any business filling it with my selfish ideas. I don't have any business filling it and just allowing access to anything and everything. No, this should be protected. This should be respected, young lady. This should be protected, young man. This should be taken seriously. You can't just allow anything into your life. You cannot just allow anything into your mind. You cannot just allow anything to be seen by your eyes. This is where God dwells. How can God flow through you if He can't even get in you? How can God use you and work with you and utilize the gifts that He's given if there's so much clutter and so much mess? What business does light have with darkness? What business does the good have with the bad? What business does the right have with the wrong? He's speaking to our lives tonight. First, right here. First to the altar, right here. That doesn't match. There's some things in your life that do not match. There's some things in your life that don't add up. And He said, as God had said, I will dwell in them. I'll be in you and walk in them. And I will be their God and they shall be my people. And I'm coming to close. The next verse says this. Wherefore, come out from among them and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. He desires to receive you, desires to embrace each and every one of you. Next verse, watch this. And will be a father unto you. What He's doing right here, what they're writing here in Corinthians is this. If you will embrace my word, hear me tonight, hear me tonight, hear me tonight. Those that are 16, those that are 25, whatever age you are, hear me tonight. He says, if you will embrace my word, if you would get rid of those things that do not match, if you would get rid of and stop touching the unclean things, stop looking at the things that don't belong there, stop looking and asking and trying to follow those things that have no place in your life and nothing of me. He says, listen, I will be your father. Right away, He jumps to the peak of a relationship. I will be your father. Hear me. I will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters. And I understand here tonight there are people that have grown up without a father. I understand there are people here tonight that do not know what it is to have a father, or maybe you do, one that loves and cares for you, one that has been there for you. But I have got to tell you, the father that I speak of tonight is the perfect example. The Father that I speak of tonight is the one that gives love, shows love, and is love. The Father that I speak of tonight is peace and comfort and a help in a time of trouble. He is strength when you're weary and weak. He's encouragement when you're down and there's nobody and anybody around. And hear me tonight, automatically He says, if you'll receive my words, I will receive you, and I will be a father unto you. Tonight, what He's wanting in Motion to Know, tonight what He's wanting those that are attending this Friday night calls, He's saying, this daddy will do anything for you. This daddy will reach for you. This daddy will extend mercy and extend grace to you. We can have a relationship, not a friendship, a relationship. One that a son and a daughter would have with a father, a heavenly Father. And you here tonight, maybe it may be a minority, but you know, young lady, that you have your dad's heart more than anything else. You know that you can do everything possible and try with mom, but it just doesn't seem the same. But when you want something, daddy is there. And I'm not speaking of God as only a vending machine getting what you want, but I'm speaking that God wants to receive you here tonight. He's reaching for you and I tonight. And the relationship that He offers is better, is deeper, is true and real in a way that nothing else compares. But tonight, the question is, do I want it? Because if I'm going to be open to Him, I've got to be closed out to everything else. If I'm going to allow Him in my life, if I'm going to let Him fill me, He can't fill me until I'm empty of everything else. And understand this. If you would come tonight, if you would come to this altar, if you would come and empty yourself, you're not going to leave void, Daniel. You're not going to leave void, angel. You're not going to walk out empty. When you walk up to this altar, when you give God your life, when you give Him everything that you've got going on, the good, the bad, the messed up, the issues, when you empty yourself out to Him, you have now given Him the opportunity to fill you with everything He is. Some of you, you've been so stressed out. Some of you, you've been so frustrated. Some of you, you've been living a life that doesn't match. You've been going places. You've been doing things. You've been looking at things. You've been reading things. You've been cussing. You've been lying. You've been doing all of these things. And nobody's here to judge you. But He is here to reach for you tonight. And He's asking you as you would stand. Nobody leaving, but everybody standing here with me tonight. He's asking, would you empty yourself of what you've got going on right now? As they come to sing and as they begin to play, would you give me the opportunity not only to love you with words, not only to love you from a preacher's voice, but would you let me love you in the way that I know it, with the relationship of a father to a daughter, to a son? Would you let me not only empty you of the wrong and the negative and the things that don't belong, but would you allow me to feel your life? He'll be a father to you tonight, but He just wants to know, is there anybody here tonight that's ready to get rid of the things that don't match? Are there young men, are there young ladies here tonight that got things going on in your life I'm not even aware of? I care and I'm concerned and I'll be there to love you and I'll be there to pray for you. But there's things in your life that you really don't talk about, things in your life that you yourself. We're embarrassed, we're intimidated, we're ashamed. Some of us tonight, we walked away from God. Not physically, we're still in the church. But mentally, emotionally, spiritually, we're gone. I'm wondering tonight if there's some young men and some young ladies that wouldn't be embarrassed to step away from where they're standing and come to an altar and say, God, I'm ready to get rid of the things that don't match. God, I understand that there's a lot of people here tonight. I understand there's a lot of different situations. But God, I'm ready. If there's anything that I want to match, it's the desire that I have for you to match the desire you have for me. God, if there's anything in my life that I want to get together, I want to make sure that my will is matching your will. God, I don't know what it is to have a father love me. I don't know what it is to have a brother and sister be there for me when I go home to share my desires for the things of God. But what I do have here tonight is a desire for you to fill my life. As they begin to sing, I want you right now to open up your mouth, lift your hands all over this building. Would you begin to pray? God, I'm giving you the things that don't match. God, I'm giving you the things that do not match. It might be a relationship tonight. It might be some things that are going on your youth pastor doesn't even know. Your pastor isn't even aware of it. It's just something you've been keeping a secret, sneaking around, running around. Nobody's even really aware of it. But God's saying, I want that young lady. He's saying, when you empty yourself, I want to fill you with something true and real.